したい大事そうに抱えた私を全部君がこの孤独を痛みを癒すの消えてしまいたい眠らない街のざわめき愛想笑いの憂鬱本音なんていつかどこか見えないふりだねだって不安なんてそんな言われなくても分かってる壊したい大事そうに抱えた強がりなんてでも素直になれない迷っても悩んでも君が求めるならせめてこの孤独を痛みを壊して生まれ変わりたい青い空は窮屈に上辺だけを映し出すこの未来をずっとぼやかしてる曖昧に繋がる世界は深い傷さえ嘲笑うどれくらい苦しめばいいのもう泣けばいいのまた答えが見えない教えて真実を君が知ってるならガラスみたいなことをかけらを探すのどんなに暗闇でも君が照らそうとするから蜃気楼みたいな望みを信じてしまう壊したい大事そうに抱えた強がりなんてでも素直になれない迷っても悩んでも君が求めるならせめてこの孤独を痛みをどれくらい苦しめばいいのもう泣けばいいのまた答えが見えない教えて真実を君が知ってるならガラスみたいなことをかけらを探すの孤独を壊して生まれ変わりたい
Welcome to an episode of CRT Sound System. So we've got episode 58 as part of Shin Megami Tensei month, and we're talking about Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. I'm here with Reese as always. Reese, how are you?
I'm incredible, Tom. I'm very curious about this one. I'm excited.
I
how
mean,
you
if
doing?
I'm fucking vibrating, to be quite honest. I'm just,
Hell yeah.
you know, if you've been listening for the last 2 months, I've been trying to get people to come on to do this episode because it's one I've been wanting to do for ages, and we did get a guest at the last minute. So Nate is back from the 13 Sentinels episode. Nate, how are you?
Hi, everything's. I love Fire Emblem. I've never played this game.
Yeah. It was tough to find people who had A, played this game, and B, wanted to come on the podcast to talk about it. And I don't feel like that's like for a lack of love of the game or anything like that. Most people who have played this, I think, quite enjoy it, but and definitely enjoy the music. It's just it's just quite. It's like a niche within a niche within a niche. It's like
Well, I just think they don't want to be associated with censorship. That's
we're not going to get into that yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I
That was
have
a bit.
I
That was a joke, everyone.
yeah. No, there's definitely some censorship involved with this game. But I suppose for those who don't know, this is the crossover between Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem. Um, it was originally a Wii U exclusive, which I think probably plays into why so many people haven't played it. There is an expanded port then for the Switch called Encore, which adds a bunch of new features, some extra characters, some like extra story stuff, and just some extra quality of life. It's a really, really excellent port. If this game is of any interest to you, I definitely recommend checking it out. Like
Well, the way people talk about it, I know we're not talking about it yet, but the discourse around it made it seem like it was a off branch of like a Sinran Kagura game or something. I had no idea it was related to Shin Megami Tensei.
yeah. Yeah, because it's like the game is all sort of musical based or music based. So like the idea, the sort of the premise is that your characters, and it's a fairly sort of like all your characters are fairly sort of standard Persona style sort of archetypes. But your main character is joins an entertainment company that like just it does like management of stuff of like idols. And so like the whole game you go through, like you've got all these characters who are various types of like idols for TV or music or whatever, and you as the main character, you sort of end up having to manage them, and the sort of conceit then where it crosses over with Fire Emblem is that like as part of the plot, they get what are called mirages, which are the sort of the equivalent of personas, but those mirages, which are sort of like your combat assists or whatever, they're all characters from different Fire Emblem games. So like your main character, his mirage is Chrom. I believe is the name of that character. Am I right in saying Chrom is him?
Crom is him,
Yeah, he's like one of the main Fire Emblem guys. As I say, I'm not a Fire Emblem person, so I'm gonna have to rely on you, Nate, for all the Fire Emblem knowledge.
That's fair. Yeah, no, Crom is he's one of the main characters from Fire Emblem Awakening
Oh,
on
okay.
3DS.
Yeah, so like that would have been like one of the most recent ones at the time this came out. So, and like your other characters then have various other Fire Emblem characters from various different games, and there's
I believe it's specifically from Awakening and then like Fire Emblem 1, and that's it, just those two.
oh, is it really just those two? Okay,
Yeah, it's just those two.
okay, interesting. Because
Which is really funny. Because if I remember correctly, out of all the characters that are mirages, Marth isn't.
yeah, that
So
that was a
don't
bit
know,
odd.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's up with that.
It's interesting to hear all this because just sort of like we I didn't realize we were recording this till last minute, so I just cursory looked around about stuff about the game, and it seems like they're associating themselves a whole lot more with not even like Shin Megami Tensei. Is like seems to be like they associate themselves most with Persona, as with for reasons I understand. That's the big the big breakout of all of them, even though Three Houses and such were very popular, which I think
Well,
is
this is
I just think
before
it's
Three
interesting.
Houses. This was before Three Houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is that this is a weird mishmash to me, and I'm curious. I'm curious about our ongoing conversation because I only have one angle of attack in this conversation, and we'll
Yeah,
So
like when this was announced, it was very much announced as like a proper crossover between the two series, and I
Yeah.
think as time went by, then it sort of just became this sort of weird third thing,
I remember that
because
that initial like announcement trailer. They showed
mm,
every single main character from every Fire Emblem game at the time,
yeah,
and then it came out and it was literally just like two games. And
okay,
as far as I can tell, with like the gameplay, it borrows. I think it borrows like like the weapon
the
triangle
weapon
system
triangle,
and
yeah,
nothing else from Fire Emblem.
yeah, that's pretty much
it's
it. So it's
it's
yeah,
a it's a it was marketed as a crossover game, and then it came out and it was just a Persona game.
yeah, it's fully a Persona game in terms of like exploration and combat. But yeah, like the sort of it does the sort of press turn system that they have in Persona and Shin Megami Tensei games. And like your sort of weaknesses and stuff like that are determined by the weapons triangle. And it's like it's a good way to sort of incorporate the Fire Emblem influences, but like they're very much sort of more aesthetic than they are mechanical or gameplay.
Hmm.
um, and I suppose yeah. So the first track that we came in there was the intro track called Reincarnation. So there's a lot of vocal tracks on this album naturally because sort of it's all integrated into the story. Your characters sort of they have their like careers that they go through, and they have to like part of the whole thing with your sort of like your equivalent to social links or confidence if you're a Persona 5 player. Like your equivalent to that is what unlocks new songs for characters and stuff like that. So like the whole game and its systems are very much based around music. And that's sort of the primary conceit of it. It's definitely an interesting sort of aesthetic choice. Um, and it really sort of informs a lot of the game. So like most of the tracks we're going to listen to later are going to be vocal tracks of one sort or another, but the background music that isn't vocal as well is also really really excellent.
nice.
Yeah,
That sounds
so
great.
it's genuinely one of my favorite RPGs that I've played in like the last few years. I bought it on the Wii U just because there was nothing to get on the Wii U.
Beautiful.
So it was like, anytime there was a decent looking RPG for the system, I was like, well, I just got to pick this up and play it. Um, and as I mentioned, it has that Switch port. One of the things I do like about the Wii U version that you sort of lose with the Switch is that like your gamepad acts as like a little social media app. Um, so like when you receive messages from your other players and stuff, you get them down in the you get them on the gamepad screen, and it's like just having like a little text message app. Um,
Oh,
it's
that's
just a
cool.
cool little feature that sort of would never really translate to a system that doesn't have two screens. And yet again, I am lamenting the loss of the second screen in gaming.
Yeah,
Well, it
Yeah.
it
seems
was
see,
nice. It was nice.
it seems
Mm.
like everybody particularly loves the Wii U second screen. Like that was, and that seems particularly fun and special for a game. Is that you have
There wasn't a lot of things that
your
like
little
use it well, but the stuff that
Mm.
did use it well was so endearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this and Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think, are probably the two to me that sort of really used it in very different ways, but in ways that I think were, as you say, sort of endearing. That really gave it a lot of sort of unique character. And I say this game is perfectly playable without the second screen, but it does lose a little bit of the charm, I think. Uh,
sick.
Excuse me, sorry, had a big yawn there. Yeah, so I think to start off, anyway, we're just going to jump into some music. So I'm going to start off in the first block with just a bit of background music. So all of the music for the background stuff is done by Yoshiaki Fujisawa. And then the vocal tracks were done by mostly Kazuaki Yamashita with a couple of other a couple of other artists coming in to do other tracks as well. So from Yoshiaki Fujisawa, we have the Shibuya theme, Audition, Show Business, Illusory Daitama, and Illusory Shibuya. nice little spread of different tracks there. Anyway, yeah. So like the first three tracks are sort of more like just walking around in the real world tracks, and then the illusory tracks then are sort of in your dungeons. So sort of true to the Persona series, you sort of have this space where there are your dungeons exist in a separate space, but they're also like distorted versions of real world locations. So as you go through the game, like you'll find yourself sort of sucked into a version of Shibuya, a version of Daitama, and a couple of other different places in Tokyo. And those sort of like comprise your dungeons. They're fairly straightforward as far as like the dungeon design isn't like super complex or anything like that. Really, it's a fairly straightforward kind of, you just run through the linear dungeons. But like the music in them is a lot darker, as you could probably tell. Like you've got these sort of much happier tunes while you're running around normal Shibuya, and then once you get into Illusory Shibuya, it gets a little bit darker. And you mentioned during the break, Nate, that like those ones you thought were a lot more like actual Fire Emblem music.
Illusory, like Daitama, definitely. Yeah, it sounds like something like it sounds like something you'd have in like a cave or like a dungeon or something. Shibuya, not so much. It's a bit more modern.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's, out of everything that I've heard, like that's definitely the thing I'd associate the most with Fire Emblem music wise.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, and like as I say, each of the chapters in the game has a different dungeon sort of associated with it, similar to Persona 4 or 5. Even though, yeah, no, I think this actually did come out before Persona 5, didn't it? So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so even just having it set in Tokyo rather than like not a place that sort of represents Tokyo but isn't Tokyo, like in Persona 3 or out in the countryside like 4. I think it sort of predates that in Persona 5, which I think is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as I say, when you're going through the different chapters, then like you have these different stages, and they all have like the Mirage boss then that's sort of at the end. And again, like that is usually represented by a real world human who's sort of been sucked in and being corrupted in some way by the evil mirages, who are sort of the counterparts to your Fire Emblem characters. And again, like that, structurally it's very similar to Persona games. Like there's not a lot of innovation going on there, but I think what the biggest strength this game has is sort of its character interactions, and how the sort of how it integrates the music and sort of the entertainment industry commentary with all of that as well. I think is sort of where this game really works for me.
It just sounds interesting. The music is, not that I expected otherwise, but what I've heard is pretty excellent.
Yeah.
I've got to say, certainly seems like another grand discovery for the podcast for me. And I really like that first track with the way that the strings and the synth, the sort of like, I don't know, like it's almost Halloweeny. It's almost shmuppy, sort of mixing in it, but it's like very soothing, feels very sort of like cutting edge. Yeah, and it has a great vibe, and I really love that everything that this is, sort of the conceit that this is all hung around. I like it more that it's music based with the idols than something like, just sort of like high school fussery like Persona 5 that I find very boring. And so yeah, it sounds very intriguing. Although I do not know if I will have it in me to purchase another Switch game.
That's fair. This is something that'll never be not on a Nintendo console for obvious reasons. But yeah, but the the thing you mentioned about Persona 5, I think, is sort of important to why I enjoyed this game so much as well. So I've often moaned about the sort of pacing in Persona 5 in particular. And I think this sort of sidesteps that by not having the sort of calendar system. Like each of your chapters is sort of like a discrete little story. You can either do everything you want to do within a chapter or not do it. It's sort of there's no sense the progression is sort of the game is sort of progressing without your wanting to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have stuff you want to do with different characters, like you have sort of equivalents of social links, as I mentioned, that sort of give you unlocks for the characters and give you more like special attacks and things like that. You can just do them in any given chapter. You don't have to sort of sit down and decide which day you're going to spend with which character or anything like that. And I get that that's an appeal to some people about the Persona games. Like that's, you know, it's just a personal issue I have with them. So like with the way these are, I think it allows you to experience the entire game without having to plan it. Which, you know, I think is for me, for the way I play games, is definitely an improvement. And yeah, as I say, I just really like the character interactions. Like there's nothing in this game as far as like writing that's really going to blow your mind or anything like that, especially in the sort of the macro plot. But just in terms of the character interactions and the actual characters themselves, I find them really well sketched. You know, as I say, there's nothing too deep about it, but it's just like it's a nice sort of like slice of life type thing.
Sure.
And again, I think the music really sort of enhances
it has
that.
that vibe.
And you know, we're going to go on to some vocal tracks in the next couple of blocks, and I think that's where this game really sort of fucking goes to the stratosphere for me, is these vocal tracks. You know, as I mentioned, part of the plot is that you're working for this sort of idol company called Fortuna Entertainment. And part of it is that you're sort of you're getting your characters to do acting or singing or whatever, but they all eventually have a song, and like their character arc is sort of getting to where they have that song, and it actually integrates with the battle system as well, which I find is a really cool thing. So during battles, once your character has sort of earned their song, they can randomly perform a special attack called an ad lib, which plays some of their song. And then it does like a massive attack to every character. It's sort of like a limit break. And again, it's just like one of the ways the game sort of integrates the story into the actual combat system. That really just makes it work for me.
Yeah, that sounds very compelling. And too, like I can imagine wanting to, you know, track those things down so you can hear the next song. And then you have your favorites to incorporate.
I'm still just trying to wrap my head around the idea of like being mid-battle and like a pop-up comes up, I want to sing.
It's not. It just like sometimes in a character's turn they just do it. Like you don't have any control over it. You know, and it's a random. It's one of the, you know, it's random, but like it's never. It's always a good thing to have for it to happen in a battle. You know, it's just one of those things, and like there are certain criteria that you can sort of use to make it so that they're more likely to happen. And just to actually mention about the battle system as well. So with the special attacks and the weapon triangle, like with Persona, if you hit a weakness, you can use that to sort of start a chain of attacks. and sort of there's a lot of different sort of types of attacks within the game outside of just the weapon triangle. But if your characters are sort of lined up in a specific way, you can actually get chain attacks that go off for like 15 or 16 different attacks.
I've seen that. Can't like I'm pretty sure like enemies can do it to you as well.
They can, but they're not going to be as strong as yours.
Right.
Yeah, and certainly in the Encore version, they added some extra ones on your end that weren't in the original game as well. So like their support characters. There's one character called Barry, who's like a dancing trainer, who as far as I'm aware, is based on like a real person. I forget who it is. It's like based on on like a heavy metal guitarist that went to Japan and now lives there. I think he was like a Megadeth guitarist or something like that.
Okay.
Because like this character's backstory is that he was a metal guitarist and then moved to Japan and became a dancing instructor. Yeah, so you know, in the original game he didn't participate in those attacks, but he now can in Encore, and the same with Tiki, who we were talking about during the break. So Tiki is a character that is from the first Fire Emblem. In this game, she is the equivalent of a Vocaloid. So she's basically just Hatsune Miku. And like she basically just handles like your weapon upgrades and stuff like that. From like you go to this weird space where you do all your weapon upgrades and stuff like that. Sort of like the blue room or the velvet room in Persona. And yeah, so somebody created a software in the world that can recreate Tiki as a singer. I don't really know how the mechanics of that actually work, but yeah, so that makes her the sort of the equivalent of Hatsune Miku, and she can participate in those attacks in the Encore version as well. Actually, forget where I was going with that, but yeah, it's a really cool like. It's one of my favorite battle systems just because there's nothing more fun than just like hitting the right attack and then just watching every single character, including like inactive characters. So like it's not just your active party, like characters that are inactive but have an attack that can contribute to the chain will also jump in and start attacking.
Just ganging up on something.
It can get really crazy towards the end of the game. Like if what I've explained to you doesn't make sense, do just go on YouTube and just like look up the battle system on it. It will make more sense when you sort of see it in action. But yeah, like as I say, once you're doing that, it's one of my favorite sort of things to just watch in the game, is just having all these things go off. But yeah,
is Encore the Switch version basically?
Encore is the Switch version, yeah.
Makes sense. Okay.
Just
I don't know. Just curious.
At this point, Reese, I think it's time for you to talk about censorship. So, because the first track we're going to be talking about is Feel. The first track in the next block is Feel. So, Feel is the each of the songs has like a music video, and the music video for Feel is very famous for bad reasons. I'm just going to let Reese explain the Vagina Bones of it all.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I had another segment. So this game was censored when it came out. It was released in Japan, and then with scantily clad broads, and the Western release, they made the broads less scanty.
Like by like maybe 0.5%, yeah.
Yeah, it's there's no bikini DLC, there's no they made two pieces into one piece swimsuit, stuff like that. But where most people will probably know it is the infamous tweet where somebody was complaining about the censorship and was just like they removed her vagina bones, and the two pubic bones that were there, I guess they smoothed them out for Lord knows whatever reason. And obviously
Yeah.
it's a little silly.
Just
But
to not
also
imply something, yeah.
but also like, I am the last person on earth to fuss with a little bit of cheesecake in video games.
Hmm.
But also it's like very, very kind of low Scoville misogynistic to have this kind of portrayal in games. Um, and in general, in culture, it's like not worth fussing over really, but it is silly. It's like
Yeah.
12-year-old boy horny,
Yeah.
it's there's real eroticism out there. You can find pictures of drawn chicks in a bikini on the internet. you know um print one out and tape it to your second screen on the Wii U. It's very it's very obvious to me, and it's the sort of thing like, because people it is desire is such a deep-seated aspect for all of us. People just get like really involved in being upset about it, and
Mhm.
the person who made the Vagina Bones tweet got a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Something that I don't think I've admitted on one of the podcasts, but for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, I ran the Shitty Gamer Takes account. And I stopped because it just gimmick accounts in general attract the most insane people,
Mm.
and it was something that made people very mad, and I had just like, you're just like, damn, you're threatening me with death via DM about the Vagina Bones tweet. And it's, I guess, and that's when I learned that that the person who made the Vagina Bones tweet did not have the world's worst understanding of female anatomy. Although I think that that's a very reasonable assumption to make. But I guess it's just like slang on 4chan, and
Yeah.
everybody, it was just like, you don't know that we call it Vagina Bones on 4chan.
Yeah.
You are a fool. And
You
I
Philistines.
exactly. And so I don't know. It's crazy to me that people think that that's better. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
ignorance is more forgivable, but it's just like that's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Sort of like you admitting that you're kind of embarrassing and stupid and juvenile. Uh, not that you can't be kind of crass or vulgar, and
Mhm.
that's not it. But it's just more that, just sort of like, you to draw this line in the sand. It's just like all these fucking normies don't know that we have this incredibly niche slang for women's bodies. Is really funny to me, and that
Yeah.
is all I've known about this game thus far. Is that there is this wild, I don't know, just sort of take to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, well, like
And I
the
think it's
Vagina Bones tweet is one of those things that really broke containment. Like,
Yeah.
it was never supposed. I'd like that. It had an audience of like weirdos on 4chan that it was never really supposed to sort of be for anyone else.
yeah.
And like, and I think that's part of the whole like snickering behind their hands at people who were scandalized at the phrase "vagina bones." Um,
I think that's a good way of putting it. And I don't know, I don't have any grand conclusions about it as it relates to the soundtrack. I
no,
just think
but it has to be
it's
talked about because
one 100%.
it's possibly this game's biggest cultural legacy.
Yeah.
And I think it's like just a very telling moment about anime horniness and fan service
Hmm.
in general, where it's just like, all right, this is another anime with an upskirt, and it's, there's no point in even raising a single hackle. But it's just like, there are a lot of a lot of feelings about it, and it's a very sort of like incel culture thing to have a particular opinion about one's waifu or waifus in general. I saw a really funny tweet where somebody was talking about a anime that had only women on it, and was criticizing and saying like, it was like quote tweeting somebody who thought it was a lesbian anime or just like low-key sapphic. And the person was like, there's nothing actually lesbian in it if you watch it. It's just that if there was a male character showing any attention to somebody's waifu, they would burn down half of Tokyo. Like there would be violence in the streets. And I think that's sort of the telling thing. And so it's wonderful for me to, having learned about that, and maybe that was my first exposure to the Fire Emblems franchise in general. That has been kind of its legacy. But it's a very lovely game, it seems like. It's and it's like seems pretty low on the fan service scale. And and it sucks that, and I would like to say, like, censoring women's bodies, there is something regressive and fascist about that. And so, it's not like, but it's clear Vagina Bones is not like being gender degree woke about it. In my opinion. So that's my take on that. And it's something I've been wanting to get out for a long time, because I've heard so many I've read so many tweets about it, and I've read so many tweets since then about being like, you don't know, it's 4chan slang. And it's just like, yes, to my credit.
I would hold that up as a badge of honor.
Absolutely. So end scene with my monologue about Vagina Bones.
No, that's it. Yeah, no, it's completely fair, and it's like, it's not like you can't find plenty of cheesecake within this game as it is. Like, there's not. This game is not shy about women's bodies. I think it's just these specifics where, like, they were maybe just trying to sort of get maybe like a lower age rating or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. And it seems, and it's like, there's a myriad issues with the changes they made. Our pal Nara, who is a huge fan of this game, but declined to be on the podcast, showed us this other thing where they made like a swimsuit into like a more like a 2-piece swimsuit into more like a 1-piece dress type of thing, and it looks awful. It looks it's truly
really
like
badly done.
It's a real shitty hack job. And it's just like, I'm not saying the game needs titties or cheesecake or anything, but one is clearly the design, and the other one is them going like, well, we don't want to we want to be featured in a Nintendo Direct. Basically.
Yeah, that's it. And it is weird that sort of like this game being what it is sort of, as I said, niches within niches within niches. Like, this is never going to be a mass audience game, so it never made much sense to me to make those changes. But similarly, I have zero desire to be mad about it either. I think this game is plenty delightful, even with those weird changes made to it. One thing I will say before,
I'm grateful.
say that again, Nate.
Say, like, if anything, with the whole Vagina Bones thing, I'm just grateful that we got laughs out of it, because that tweet is just so fucking stupid.
It's iconic. Like, yeah, it's
very
absolutely
much so. Yeah, sadly,
one of the all-time greats. I believe if you go to that user's profile, it's still their pinned tweet. So
that was the best thing that ever happened to that person.
Yeah,
they're so proud of it.
Yeah.
Shout out to that freak.
Yeah, I won't name the user, but yeah,
I-
you can find that tweet if you know where, you know. But yeah, as I said, the one thing I wanted to mention before moving on, just as you mentioned gimmick accounts, when you had that New York Times account, Reese, the
Yes.
Hillary Clinton Epstein editorial tweet is one of the greatest tweets of all time.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
like I think about it all the time.
Just to explain to Nate, I found that, you know, I think here in America, I don't know what the state of opinion columns are elsewhere, but we have a you know, I think more people are more likely to call the opinion column op-ed than just straight opinion. I think, or at least, you know, that is as common. And New York Times op-ed wasn't taken. So I took it, and I still get quote tweets to it to this day. I know I don't log into it very much, but I tweeted after Epstein died. I tweeted in the format that the New York Times does, a guest column from Hillary Clinton that was basically saying that was like vaguely threatening anyone else who
Who might
speaks
want to
out.
speak out?
And QAnon got a hold of it, and thought it was real. And I had like a couple days where people were quote tweeting it with insane QAnon scribble scrabble on it, just like looking at the trees in the background of the picture I chose, and like just like, this is vaguely a pentagram. And I've never been prouder to touch culture in such a way. So that's the story behind that.
Yeah.
I think I fucking seen that tweet though. I had no idea that was you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. The problem is I can't think of any more jokes for that account because there's like reality has become too fucked up. I don't know how to create humor about the world anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna link it in chat.
Do. All right, so I think we'll move on to the next block of tracks. So as I mentioned, these are all vocal tracks. The first two tracks are composed by Kazuaki Yamashita, and the second track by Cube Juice, and then the last track in the block is, hold on a sec there, is composed by Yuichi Nakase. So these, as I said, they're all vocal tracks. So the first track is Feel. So that's the Tsubasa Oribe track, which is sort of like your main female character. So the vocalist on that is Inori Minase. Then we have Black Rain, which is sung by Yoshimasa Hosoya, and that's the character Yashiro Tsurugi, who is your sort of male, your male counterpart, sort of the Sakamoto of the game, I suppose. Then the third track is Beastie Game, and that is Tiki, which is the Vocaloid character, though I believe the vocal done in this is an actual person. It's just been processed. And then, as I said, the last track is... Oh no, sorry, that is the... Hold on, have I lost it? Oh yeah, Between You and Me is the last track in the block, apologies. And that is by Chikara Gonohe, and vocals by Emotional Key.
どんな時も感じてほしいのこの想いを折れない翼で私の歌もっともっと届けるから Be my voice と歌って Be my song 歌い続けたい Be my heart 諦めないよ夢 瞳で Feel my love その胸の奥で Feel my beat 体中で繋がっていたくて眩しい季節思い出と一緒に残るそんな歌を歌っていくからもっとそばで感じてほしいのこの想いを向かい風だってもう怖くはないもっと高く飛べると信じているの誰にも真似できない私の歌ちゃんと届けるから Be my voice, be my voice, be my voice Be my soul, be my soul, be my soul Be my heart, be my heart, be my heart どんな険しい道でも後戻りはできないから見ててほしい君私のすべてもっとそばで感じてほしいのこの想いを向かい風だってもう怖くはないどんな時も感じてほしいのこの想いを折れない翼で君のもとへとどんな夢も叶うと信じているのドキドキ止められない私の歌もっともっと届けるから
散る限界を超えて覚醒する世界は俺を照らす忘れられない冷たい記憶に火を灯し走り続けた暗闇の先に何があろうとも従うさため包み込む光が心を惑わす苦しみ切り裂く勇気る力解き放って砕け散る限界を超えて抑えきれない魂燃やせ傷にまみれた愛を隠し終わりを見たくなければ強くあれ鏡の中じゃひび割れた夢を見つめることしかできなくてだけど必要ないものはいつだって手に入るのさ満たされぬ天使たちの住む世界が望むのなら罪を背負う覚悟はできてる耐えられない痛みを癒し正義を証明するために誰も知るはずのない歌を声が枯れるまで叫び続けよう
lot of fucking incredible pop music there. As I say, that's the sort of the real meat of this game. I think is those tracks, and like the game really sort of emphasizes it. One thing I did want to mention, and it's probably worth noting if you're looking at this game and thinking about buying it, there's no English voice track. And primarily for the reason is just so that they can keep all the Japanese, the songs in Japanese, and not have to translate them and get English people to sing them and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
So for that reason, the
Yeah.
game is fully voiced in Japanese. And one thing we were talking during the break a lot about just like all the different character designs that they have for this game, and it's genuinely one of the best looking games on the Wii U, just in terms of like character design and things like that. They really did a lot of work to sort of like update characters from the Fire Emblem series, and just sort of like bring them into this universe in a way that is very, very cool. It's really we're looking out, looking at the artwork on the wikis, as we have been doing during the breaks.
They're so good. I can't get over how good the character designs are in this game. They're unreal.
Yeah.
Even as a very very casual, very drive-by viewer, I gotta say that like the look and feel of this game, without really knowing what the game feel is, feels incredibly fresh, and like modern even now. Like I don't know, there's just something about it where a lot of stuff pops, and seeing all the designs you posted is just like banger after banger. Um, really seems like one to pick up if one were to pick up a Switch game.
Yeah, it's one that I'm always recommending to people. I think like if you like a solid turn-based RPG, it's not going to be the one. It's not going to set the world on fire. It's not super long. It takes like maybe 40 hours to get through the whole game. And the encore version adds a bunch of very good quality of life stuff to it. And as you play, you just get to listen to some fucking great music, and you get some cool like music videos as part of it as well. Like you get little cutscenes for most of the songs that give you some more very cool looking designs and character costumes and stuff like that. Like there's a lot gone into this game in terms of design and like the fashion, and just how this game looks is just completely off the fucking charts, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems extremely cool.
Yeah, no, I really like it genuinely is one of my favorite games of the last few years. I've probably mentioned that already, but like I really can't emphasize that enough. It's just as I say, the writing isn't going to fucking blow your mind or anything like that. It's fairly straightforward, but like it just does so much to sort of enhance everything, whether it's through music or through the sort of designs and everything like that. It's really, really cool. One thing I wanted to mention as well is, nope, I've lost that train of thought. Oh, actually, yeah. So, one thing I wanted to ask you about, Nate. Actually, so you mentioned the mobile game has a lot of these characters come into it. So I never played that mobile game or the gacha game, but like I remember it being really, really big for a while.
Sadly, I did play it.
Yeah.
When this game came out, like as part of the build up to it, they put a few of the characters that were going to be in the game in the mobile game.
So that was before this game came out on originally, or was the Switch version?
I think it would have been the Wii U version, and I don't remember if it was just before it came out or it might have been like just after, but a bunch of characters got added to Fire Emblem Heroes from this game, as well as also like some of the music got added in a separate side mode as well.
Okay, yeah, because you were mentioning, you're like, how do I know these tracks? At the start of the
I was
game.
listening. I was listening through some of the tracks before like sitting down to record this, and I was scratching my head, going, "I have heard this before. Where have I heard this?" And then it hit me. It was probably from that fucking gotcha game.
Yeah. We were talking a lot about the Persona 5 catch game last week.
Oh, dear.
It's funny, yeah. No, it just seems to be something that's going to come up a lot, I think, throughout this month of talking about Shin Megami Tensei games. There's like I suppose there's so many different characters and so many different ways you can incorporate them into these into mobile games. It does make sense that they keep doing it, even if I personally try to avoid them. But if nothing else, you're probably going to get some good music out of it.
100%.
Sure.
It's the 21st century. I read it for the articles. I play the gotcha game for the music.
Thank you for that note. Yeah, so I mentioned as well the emotional key. They're not actually characters in the game, from what I can tell. There were just three singers. So that was the last track, "Distance Between You and Me." I'm not sure where that actually appears in the game, but it is a good track, so I had to include it in the first, just to make sure.
I'm not sure if that note elucidated the question you had about who they were. But...
No, but it is good for me to know like that they're not the main cast, because I was like, when I was listening to it, I was like, I don't know where this is supposed to be in the game. It's it was just, I just sort of went looking around for the singers, and trying to find any information about it, and it was pretty much just that one wiki entry. But you've reminded me as well of just like the Dia Sweet Witch. So there is a lot of stuff in the game that is sort of just references to Shin Megami Tensei stuff as well. And I just like that the sort of the in-game shop is all themed around Jack Frost, which is always a really fun time. Everybody loves Jack Frost.
I love Jack Frost. Jack Frost is the best.
Yeah. Possibly the most iconic Shin Megami Tensei character.
100%.
Easily.
In all of them, in all of the Atlas games, it seems, or maybe not all of the Atlas games, but Shin Megami Tensei games.
I mean, definitely the sort of Megami Tensei meta series as a whole. But I would say if there's a mascot for Atlas, it's probably Jack Frost.
It's gotta be. He showed up in the Nintendo game that I played for some reason.
Which one?
The Megami Tensei.
Nintendo right. Game. Even that early on in the series.
That early, yeah. He's more of like he's a secret. But he does appear.
Okay, interesting. I didn't realize that went right, because that's like the very first game, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like decades ago, but it's he's not featured in any way. You have to go to go to a special square and do something, and he'll pop up and taunt you. But he is there. He is real.
Going to a special square and doing something is something I think that's going to come up a lot in the next episode. That's a little sneak preview of the Majin Tensei episode. But yeah, I think we'll just jump into the next block of tracks. So we've got some more vocal tracks. So the first one is Under the Moon, vocals by Yashiro Tsurugi, or rather the character is singing it as Yashiro Tsurugi, and again the singer is Yoshima Hosoya. And then we have She Is, which has got vocals by Kiria and Tsubasa. And then the last track is Dreamcatcher, which is vocals by Tsubasa and Eleonora.
ならと伝えることができなかったあの日の微笑みと今も変わらない君が愛しくて夜空を見上げるたび切なくなる気持ちを抑えてこの星で君と出会い永遠の心に咲く花を見つけたよ今はもう一人じゃないどんなに離れていても涙流さない初めて感じたこのぬくもりを忘れないよ眠れない夜ならばそっと窓を開け会いに来てよ月明かりで君を優しく包み込んで見守ってるから最後に見た景色で君をずっと輝かせたいもう二度と悲しまぬようにこぼれ落ちた雫を星に届けよう時が経ちこの命が尽きても誰より君が大切な人遥か彼方の世界で長い旅が始まって幾千年もの時が過ぎ去っていても必ずこの場所で寄り添える日が来る時を越えて待ってるよ愛しき人よ君だけの心に咲く花になれたかな今はもう一人じゃないどんなに離れていても涙流さない君がいつまでも幸せでありますようにと降り注ぐ星に願いを乗せて
輝いてもっと 星屑光る月へと導く空の標識夜空浮遊してるよ不思議な魅力流れ星がほらウィンクしてくれる鳴りやまない目覚まし夢と現実の間無重力夢の途中君に夢中近づいてきて待ってまだ消えないでよそばで輝いていて行きたいまだ行けないみたい夜空の向こう会いたいけどまだ会えない私のお月様叶えてよお月様まっすぐに見えてたのに歩いてみたらでこぼこくねくね到着はどこだ恋も友情も大切な女の子事情メモリ足りないみたいバンク寸前ね朝になればもう少し夜にはもう疎開し繰り返し夢の途中君に夢中追いかけっこね黄金色照らす未来ずっと導いていて行きたいまだ行けないみたい月の裏側大嫌いやっぱり好き私のお月様ざわめきれた霊気揺れてるブランコみたいあとちょっと近づけばいいな一つ二つ泳ぐ星に願いを夜空まで手を伸ばせばもっと届きそうなのに月面旅行したみたいな浮遊したいな微笑むのは月うさぎそばで見守っていて夢の途中君に夢中近づいてきて待ってまだ消えないでよそばで輝いていて行きたいまだ行けないみたい夜空の向こう会いたいけどまだ会えない私のお月様叶えてよお月様
It was all I could do not to just fucking stand up and dance to those last two songs the whole way through.
Yeah.
They're so
I
long.
mean, next
Like,
time you should. It's
fucking.
it's
They're
such
just
a
fucking
bop.
yeah, bops upon bops upon bops. It's a fucking like. There's such just fucking great pop songs like like I don't if you like J-pop at all, like you fucking owe it to yourself to fucking play this game. Is all I'm saying. Like it's not just that they're sort of like doing a pastiche or anything. Like these are like them doing proper fucking good J-pop songs. One thing I would note as well is even if you don't play this game, I feel like I've evangelized enough for it and you should play it. But if you don't play the game, do go and look up the music videos because they are all fucking delightful. like each of the characters gets like a unique look for each different music video, and they really fucking put in the effort to make them look like they're proper like Japanese music video productions. Like it's they do such a good job to make this authentic for a game that fucking 20 people played. Like
No, I mean I'm bopping, I'm vibing over here. It seems like a really good time. Like
yeah.
it even totally outside of the gameplay, which
Mm,
we have not talked a ton about directly, other than sort of design and
mm,
sort of details around the construction of how they present the mechanics. But
Mm.
yeah.
it has such a, like, I don't know, effervescent vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something you could just put on, and depending on how hard the tactical battle stuff is, you could just sort of, like, very easy to just kind of breeze through, maybe take a bong rip,
I will
depending.
say it's not the toughest game. I imagine maybe on like you can select a harder difficulty as well, but it's like if it's not a tough game, especially by like both Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei standards. Both series are sort of notably quite tough. This is not a very difficult game, but I don't think that detracts from it in any way whatsoever. But like, so the thing I keep coming back to with this game is just how much it sort of integrates the music to everything. Um, as I mentioned, you've got like the your everything is sort of like named after musical ideas, like encores, ad libs, and all that. Like the way your sort of the music your characters create sort of comes into their battles with those ad lib performances. And just the game is always sort of like getting putting music shit right in your face. It's such it's such a good fucking what's the word, like just the way it keeps doing that as an aesthetic is always really really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think we're just going to go to the last couple of tracks shortly. So these last three I have are all just the battle themes. And again, like that, because the game incorporates music so much into its gameplay. Obviously, the battle themes are going to be really really solid. So Session is the first one, which is just your standard battle theme. Very intimidating is the second one, which is the boss battle, and the last one, which I don't know if we want to talk about it before or after, is Through Destiny, which is the final battle. So the final battle in this game is with Medeus, or the Shadow Dragon, which is like the main boss of the first Fire Emblem. I'm going to say. I need you to verify that for me, Nate.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. And again, like that, it's important to the plot, but it's not really important to the game as such. That it is a Fire Emblem villain,
Mm.
but it's just one of those little details that they've included that I think just sort of adds to would add to it for somebody who's really familiar with the Fire Emblem games. And as part of that track, then they sort of it's one of the tracks where they incorporate the Fire Emblem main theme, which is probably the most recognizable, even to people who haven't played Fire Emblem, because it's used a lot in Smash Brothers.
Mm.
There is another vocal track that sort of, and it is sort of like a story thing. There's a cutscene where each of the characters is sort of helping fight the Shadow Dragon, and they're singing this song, and like every character in the game sort of contributes vocals to it. It's probably my least favorite vocal track in the game. Unfortunately, it's a little bit rough.
It's before coming into this, it's the only like one that I've actually seen, and it is
Oh, okay,
so campy. It's so
it's great.
funny.
Yeah. In the context of the game, it works perfectly, but I just don't think that it's not the best thing to sort of listen to on its own, because you just have this gang vocal essentially from like 9 different characters. You know, and it's a little bit tough to listen to, but it's one of those things that when you put it into the context of the game, it really just works as a moment. It really builds to it, and that track as well also incorporates the Fire Emblem main theme. So again, like that, it's just one of the things for the Fire Emblem fans that is a little bit of fan service in a good way. Yeah, so I think we'll jump into that last break. So as I said, we've got Session, Very Intimidating, and Through Destiny.
big fan of. You can have the Fire Emblem main theme, but only as at the end as a treat.
Yeah. I think there's some other Fire Emblem songs in there as well, if you really dig down into it.
Oh, in this, yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, but I don't know enough about Fire Emblem music to say for sure.
There's a couple of melodies mixed in there.
I really love that battle theme, the first one.
It's a really good battle theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's something I suppose we talk a lot on RPG episodes of it's a very fine needle to thread when it comes to RPG battle themes, because like you want it to be catchy enough that you want to hear it every time, but also not so catchy or that it just bothers you or annoys you.
It needs to match the pace of the game as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's a needle to thread, and the best games really get it right, and I think this is one of them. And I really like the sort of the darker tone then to that boss theme. It's very as you mentioned, Nate, during it's like you just said this is definitely a Persona game.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you can really hear that sound. Like as I said, there's none of the artists on this actually worked on Persona, but they're obviously drawing inspiration for these kind of tracks in it.
Mm.
Yeah, and then obviously the last battle then. The way it sort of brings in that Fire Emblem main theme, and I wish I knew enough about the music of Fire Emblem to be able to recognize all the other little quotes that it's doing, but it's definitely pulling from a lot of different Fire Emblem games, I think there, or possibly even just the first game.
Mostly just Shadow Dragon, yeah.
Yeah. I think it seems in general like this game is pulling a lot more from just the first game than even I thought. As I say, as somebody who isn't super familiar with the series outside of Smash Brothers, I just assumed that they just grabbed stuff from all over the series, but it seems very much sort of fixated on the first game.
And then the last one that was out at the time of release.
Yeah. That was Awakenings at the time this is out, you said, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, fucking excellent game. Again, I can't really recommend it enough. It's on Switch. It goes on sale a fair bit, I think. You can usually get it for like 30 or 40 quid. I think it's well worth your time if you like Persona. And if you like Fire Emblem, I think it's worth your time as well. And if you just like good music, and just good vibes.
Yeah, this was a great episode. Most of the tracks I didn't check out beforehand, and I've just been kind of bopping this whole episode, and then we talk, and and then as many such cases on this podcast, I was just like, damn, this rips. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good music on it. So thanks for joining us on such short notice, Nate. Have you got anything you want to plug or anything for the people out there?
No, not really. I suppose maybe
or
just
if people want to find you online.
I finally deleted my Twitter, so if you're looking for a place to follow me, I'm Stigley on Blue Sky, STYGGLY. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was really good to have you on. Reese, what do you got to plug?
My podcast. Check out Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth. Check out Existential Warfare. And that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as for ourselves, we can be found on Patreon, CRT Sound System, if you want to get higher bitrate versions of the episodes, and that's where we put all the bonus episodes. Bonus episodes will always be free. I'm not gating the content. It's really just that Spotify is weird about fucking track or episodes that are primarily music. Come and join us on the Discord. There's a link in the show notes. There's a link on our Twitter page. There's a link on our Blue Sky. If you just want to hang out and talk about video game music or talk about house music with me or something, I don't know. I'm pretty much always fucking watching that Discord.
Yeah. It's a great little community. It's not, it's not super fast paced, but
No.
usually anything anybody has to say, there's people usually. There's some person who has gone deep on a particular franchise or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, come on by. It's a great it's a great
good
Discord.
time. Absolutely.
And come on the podcast.
Yeah, and you can follow us on Blue Sky, CRT Sound System. You can follow me on Blue Sky's 4push. That's about it, really. Come on the show if you want to come on the show. Let us know. I'm always like, I'm currently sort of at a stage where I don't have a bunch of episodes planned in advance. So this is probably a good opportunity to like get in and fucking tell me about the one game that you fucking absolutely have to tell everybody about. If you've got a favorite soundtrack, I'm always willing to listen to somebody's sort of rant on about a soundtrack they love. But yeah, so the last track that we're going to go out with is Labyrinth, which is another one of Kiria's tracks. So this is the one that plays when she does her ad-lib. And it's a pretty cool track. So thank you, Nate. Thank you, Reese. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Look out next week for some more Shin Megami Tensei. And I'll leave you off with Labyrinth.
Nate, thank you so much for joining us last minute. It was a real pleasure.
It really was.
Cheers.
立ち止まることなんて考えもしなかった流されるのは もし